You have quite the story. So let's take it back to the beginning about how this all came into inception. Do you remember having an epiphany? And what did that look like?
So it all started for me in junior high school when I started getting acne. And I remember at that time you're already so self-conscious and, a new zit would pop up on my face every few days and it just bummed me out so much. And so I started going to the store, like CVS, Walgreens, buying every product that I saw on a commercial, thinking that it would be the solution to my breakouts, and nothing worked. Eventually, my mom took me to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist had me on benzoyl peroxide, retin-A micro, all these different ointments, several rounds of antibiotics, which I didn't realize at the time was disrupting my gut bacteria and making the acne even worse. And I remember going to the dermatologist at one point. I was only in high school, but intuitively, I just knew there had to be more to it. And I said, is there anything I could be doing differently? Anything I could change about my diet or lifestyle that might be contributing to this? And she looked at me and she said, no, acne is genetic and your only option is to use this cream and take this pill. And so that's what I did. I didn't really have the resources or wherewithal to figure it out on my own. So I took her advice and went through a few more frustrating years. Eventually, I was put on birth control. And
to fight acne?
That was purely for the acne.
Wow.
And it worked, but it was, of course, a Band-Aid that comes along with other symptoms. And it wasn't until I met my now husband. And at the time, he was starting a regenerative livestock farm called Primal Pastures with his dad and brothers. And for the first time, my eyes were opened to a new way of eating. I had always been interested in health. I'd always tried different diets. I did everything you can think of, the cabbage soup diet, the Kellogg's cereal diet, tried to follow the food pyramid. I was vegetarian for a year and none of it lasted. None of it really made me feel good until, believe it or not, I started eating real food. All of a sudden, I felt so much better, had more energy. My immune system was better. My acne cleared up. I was able to go off of the birth control. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I've been wrong about food my entire life. I've been eating the wrong things.
And when you say real food, what did that look like?
That was pretty much a paleo diet. So meat, vegetables, fruit, some nuts and seeds, that kind of thing.
And did your parents have a healthy diet?
No.
Okay.
No, I grew up eating like the Costco chicken nugget dinosaurs and fish
we have
sticks.
those.
And
I got to get rid of those. Towns goes dino.
I don't know the
That's a
Costco
reminder.
ones,
Go ahead.
Yeah. So no, I grew up eating a standard American diet. And then I started researching skincare, personal care products, and realized I had been using all the wrong stuff my entire life. I just assumed that if it was sold on a store shelf, that it was safe. Come to find out, most ingredients on store shelves have not been tested, and the ones that have been actually proven to be unsafe. And deodorant was the thing that I really honed in on just because I was shocked by how toxic conventional deodorant is. And this was back in 2012. There weren't a whole lot of natural deodorants on the market at the time, at least none that worked. And so I made it my mission to create a natural deodorant that worked. I spent countless hours in the kitchen. I would make a batch, give it to friends and family, get their feedback, make changes, make a next batch. And finally, when I had a product that I was really happy with, I launched it along with a few other things. And that was in 2015 when I officially started the company.
Did you know that you would be building this empire and this infrastructure that you have now?
No. I always joke with my husband because my goal in the beginning was to make an extra $500 a month. I was working at Special Olympics at the time. He was a high school teacher. We had both just quit our jobs to start this farm with his family. And I was making these skincare products on the side. So it was very much just a hobby that kind of turned into a business.
When you look back on this, what was the moment that you were like, oh my God, I'm going to build this into a business? Was there one day where you checked the sales and they were wild? Did something go viral on social media?
It was kind of a slow progression, but quicker than I thought it would be. I remember just being pleasantly surprised, day after day, week after week in the beginning by the response to the products. And I think it was because the deodorant really worked, and people just hadn't experienced that before. I sold to the farm customers in the beginning. I was going to farm stands. And so I think like interacting with people face to face and having that as a support group like helped to launch us forward. And yeah, and I think also when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I was finally at the point where I was like, okay, I need to either shut the business down for a few months because it was just me at the time, or really like turn this into a business and hire someone full time and move the business out of my home because I was still making everything in my kitchen for a long time. And I decided to just take a leap of faith and hire a full-time person, get my own office warehouse space. And I'm so thankful that
I have
went
maybe
that
like
route.
an ignorant question as the only man in the room. Why do so many women go on birth control to combat acne? Like what is in that? Do you even know what's in that birth?
Lactin, Michael.
But why? So
It lowers testosterone. And it, from what I know, it kind of gives your body the impression that you are pregnant. Like a lot of women get that pregnancy glow towards the end of pregnancy. And I've heard that birth control kind of like emulates that.
because we were talking about birth control on another show, and some of the comments were like, oh, it's a dangerous time to be talking about maybe not using birth control. But I think what we were trying to articulate is so many people just jump into birth control without really having a lot of information, or in your case, not even for the purpose of birth control, but to combat acne. And I think it's a conversation worth discussing, because now that I have a daughter, I think about this all the time, which is obviously you want people to be able to protect themselves, but I think we need to educate ourselves much more on some of the effects that this stuff has on young women, because it's not an issue
Also,
that men face.
Don't realize that you go on birth control to sometimes combat acne, or that's like a plus, but they don't realize that it causes hyperpigmentation.
Yes.
So you're switching one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to choose your battles, and to pump yourself with hormones to help the acne, but then you're going to get hyperpigmentation. To me, looking back, is not worth it.
Not worth it.
So what is in the deodorant that a lot of us, not me, but a lot of us are using? Like I had this come to Jesus. I was using like aluminum filled deodorant probably like 10 years ago and made a switch. But what's really in it? Like what are the ingredients if you get granular?
Yeah, you mentioned aluminum. That is one of the worst offenders. It's been linked to Alzheimer's disease. Parabens. Most conventional deodorants are loaded with parabens. In one study, they found parabens in 98% of the breast cancer tumors that they sampled. Nice. So we're putting these things in a really absorbent area of the body. And not only are we putting those chemicals into the body, but the aluminum in the deodorant also blocks your pores, so you're not able to sweat anymore. And sweating is so important for detoxification. And that's why I think deodorant is one of the worst things you can do. And I always encourage people, if you're going to make one swap, let it be deodorant, because you're just putting so much junk into an absorbent area of the body, and you're not letting your body detox like it was meant to do.
You know what else it gives me anxiety is tampons.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like the bleach and the chlorine.
Oh my gosh. I remember the scented ones. Like,
and then you like
crazy.
Put it up there with a plastic applicator.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it's bleak. If you look at it, you know what else too? We can go on a real spiral. Toilet paper.
Oh, so yeah, that's a swap that I recently made. Never thought about it up until a few months ago. And yeah, again, like such an absorbent area, not an area that you want to be putting like this bleached piece of paper filled with PFAS.
Every single day. I think that it's what I like about your line is it's things that you use every single day. And I think if you make the swaps of these things that you have to use, like deodorant, whether it's toilet paper, like whatever it is, you have to pay attention to the things that you keep doing and doing and doing, I think.
Yeah. And I think like what we strive to do too is just create rituals for people, because the nervous system is such an important piece of health, and it's such an important piece of skin health. Like skin health isn't just the products we use, it's how we take care of our whole system. And so we strive to create, opportunities for people to just really like take a deep breath, unwind from the day, and kind of have this experience that you wouldn't normally necessarily have.
What area, or I guess in certain products, or I guess just areas of people's life, do you get the most resistance when it comes to making switches? Because it's funny when you have these, and we've had a bunch of these conversations of talking about different, services or products with clean ingredients. And sometimes there's this resistance. There's like this nostalgia to use certain brands that you've grown up with. And I always find that so interesting. For me, the argument is simple as like, if you have two options and you know one of them is more harmful than the other, like it's kind of a no-brainer. But people have such a hard time getting off certain products. Is there a certain category or product that you've seen people be just resistant to?
Yeah, I think the nostalgia thing is key. And that's there with the products, that's there with the food. Like my husband still has a thing with mac and cheese. Like when we are at a new restaurant, like he can't not try the mac and cheese because it reminds him of his childhood and it drives me crazy. But it's like, there's so many things that we can't control, right? Like we can't always control the air we're breathing when we're outside. We can't always control just all of the chemical and toxic exposures when we're out and about and things like that. But this is something that we can control. Like we can control the products we use. We can control the food that we put in our cart at the grocery store. So while there are things that people may just be big sticking points for people, I think it's so important and empowering to make changes where you can. And you know, like I said, deodorant I think is one of the most important things. And that is one thing though that people are resistant to, especially guys. Like we have a lot of women that
the guys got to get rid of the Old Spice though. Sorry guys, it doesn't smell good. It smells like shit. It's not.
It smells so
fortunately,
it's gross.
I don't even use deodorant.
Oh, let's go do your brag.
Really?
Let's go. This is the brag he always does.
I want to hear about this.
I haven't used deodorant in, I don't know, 20
You got to try Primally Pure.
I'll try Primally Pure, but namely because I always felt it to be strange as a practice. I'm a little bit of a weirdo. I found it strange that I have to like put something under my arm to begin with. But then I talked to this one person a while ago and he was like, hey, your body may also be trying to tell you something if there's a scent or if you're perspiring a lot. Like it's trying to give you a signal. And so like a lot of people try to mask the signals that the bodies give off. Like to me, if you have to use a really, really strong scent to get rid of another strong scent, there's probably something else that you're not paying attention to.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a rental car and you know that like someone was smoking in it and then they just spray a bunch of Febreze over it.
Or the like Christmas tree that's hanging?
Yes.
I used to have the Christmas tree hanging back in the day.
Did you actually have that?
Yeah, I had that in high school. I had that.
Oh my God. That is grounds for divorce. That is so sick and disgusting, you sicko.
I had the yellow one. I think it smelled, it was like almost, I don't even remember what the scent was. But
of course, you had the yellow one because you like probably had it hanging in your like in
your
mirror because the car wash gave it to you.
Well,
that should be your next thing. For Christmas, you should make Primally Pure Christmas tree hangers to advertise
like clean.
With yes, please. Can you do that? Like something cute. He still tries to wash our car. We need like Branch Basics and Primally Pure to like team up and do like a car wash situation.
You can take Branch Basics to the car wash.
And
they'll use it.
I'm just going to start traveling around with a giant bucket of stuff.
Yeah,
you're
everywhere I go.
grossing us out in the car. I'm going to do that.
I don't do the Christmas tree anymore.
Okay.
I have heard that about natural BOs though, that even we are like attracted to our mate based on their natural scent.
Pheromone.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Of course.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
By the way, your deodorant is amazing. It really works. I like the white one the best. I'm not a big deodorant person. And if I'm wearing deodorant, it's definitely yours. I love your deodorant. Deodorant's
awesome.
10 out of 10. What are some things that are maybe that we can call out to the audience that they can turn their label around and look at and just get rid of? Like it could be in our body lotion, in our oils. Like what are things that are just no-nos to you?
Fragrance is the first one that comes to mind. It's a blanket term protected by the FDA as a trade secret, so companies don't have to disclose what's in their fragrance, but it can contain up to 3,000 different ingredients. And the EPA actually did a study, and they found that 72% of what's in fragrance is hormone-disrupting phthalates. And so phthalates are what drives the scent deeper into your skin. And it also is it's what makes fragrance stick to you. So if you've ever been like in a house with Glade plugins or in a bathroom that's heavily scented, and then you leave and you still smell like that space, that's because of the phthalates. They're just getting in there, getting into your system.
I have a thing that'll freak you out. I was on TikTok the other day, as I do sometimes, and somebody was taking cologne or a perfume, and they melted a Vaseline bottle and then sprayed all the cologne in the Vaseline and then froze the Vaseline, and then they used the Vaseline to get so that the scent stays longer and deeper.
Wait, I don't get it.
What? Basically, they were taking the scent.
Petroleum combined with phthalates.
Yeah, and it's like it's a trend that's going on right now to make scents last longer. and I saw it and I knew I was talking to you, and I was like, I got to bring this up because this seems like
No,
a
I
big
haven't seen that.
We got to stop this because
That's
you're
brutal.
like double dosing the chemicals.
So that's
I
like
think
a
you
TikTok
should make
trend.
a lotion and scent line called Stripper, and make like the scent be stripper but natural.
Natural stripper
Yeah,
scent?
natural stripper scent.
What does that mean?
Because
Let me explain what it means.
strippers, they everyone like on
It's a very
TikTok
distinct
talks about
scent.
how they smell like so good. But like if you could make a stripper scent that was non-toxic, it would be amazing. Because the stripper scent is
It's
toxic.
called Dancer, Lauren.
Okay, Dancer.
Dancer.
Ugh,
Put some
Dancer.
respect on
Okay.
this.
I don't know about the stripper scent phenomenon. So
Go to
this
a
is-
strip club.
Neither do
walk
I.
in. I know all about it. Go to. I've been to a few strip clubs in my day, and they smell amazing.
So this is a thing.
Oh yeah,
They're like known to smell
No,
good.
But I would,
Amazing.
if we were now learned in our later years that we've learned about phthalates and all this, if we went back, we might be bombarded with the scent now. It might disrupt
Might be
us
too
because
much.
At
Yeah.
the time, we maybe didn't recognize.
no, but I'm saying that Primally Pure should make a stripper collection.
It's called Dancer, Lauren. You're going to get some shit for this. I'm telling you.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
have to show me like what this. I have an idea maybe
You know what?
of
It's
what it
honestly
could smell
probably
like.
a good
but
thing that you don't know, that you can't figure it. Like just, we'll put that out there.
Because you had such a journey with acne, and if there's people that are listening that do have acne, what are things that you would immediately tell them to change?
So I've been walking with my assistant through her own acne journey, and it's wild because the same protocols that I was put on 15, 20 years ago are what she was put on. It's like, how are these dermatologists still prescribing antibiotics for acne like 20 years later? It's insane to me. And so she was on antibiotics on and off for 10 years. When she started working for me, she on her own decided to stop using all of her medications, and her acne just blew up because her gut was so imbalanced, and there was fungal overgrowth. There was a lot going on. And so together we kind of came up with a plan. She changed her diet and even just started incorporating a lot of unconventional habits.
Like what? Get so specific.
Like being exposed to sunlight early in the morning, just things to support her hormones, grounding to reduce inflammation. I was having her take cold showers, just things to support your overall system and your cells, because all disease goes back to cell dysfunction. Like we can call it, different, we can make different diagnoses and whatnot, but it all just goes back to cell dysfunction. So when you incorporate habits and just change your life and change your diet to support cell health in general, your skin's going to clear up. Your whatever symptom you're dealing with is most likely going to improve. So we just focused on a lot of the basics. And then through testing, we found out that she had the fungal overgrowth. So we did some specific supplement protocols to address that.
And what about beauty? Meaning like skincare.
Oh, skincare. Yeah, she used our clarifying line. So
And it just like that's all she had to use.
That's it.
So really being mindful of what are in the products that you're putting on your skin sounds very important as well.
For sure, because women are exposed to an average of 168 chemicals every single day. And that number was from a study back in like 2014, 2016. So I'm sure that it's increased quite a bit even since then. But we're exposed to so many different synthetic chemicals every day. And our hormones are such a precise system of signals within the body. So when we're overloading them with all of these synthetics, like things are going to get out of whack.
One of the reasons that I only wash my hair every 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's
Every 2 weeks.
impressive.
I just washed it
I do
today.
once a week. But
I will let that thing
love that.
get it's so disgusting you've never seen gross, because I don't want to have to always wash my hair with a bunch of chemicals. Is there I'm going to ask you for a couple brands.
Yeah.
Shampoo and conditioner. What are you using?
I use InnerSense Organics.
InnerSense. Okay. You
They
got
have
to switch that out.
tons of products for
You
men too.
mentioned toilet paper. I use Real. Do you like that one?
Haven't heard of it. I
Okay.
use Bum Roll.
Bum Roll. Okay.
But again, I'm new to the clean toilet paper world.
Okay. And what about, do you use clean paper towels?
No, I haven't found any.
Real.
Do you know
That's the brand Real.
Real.
I wanted to know if you...
REAL.
REEL.
Okay. have to
And
check
I
that
use
out.
a lot of Real. So if Real's listening, you can get me on a subscription. We have a family of 4 over here. What are you using for makeup?
Ilia, Crunchy, RMS.
So you are really try to make every area of your life non-toxic.
I try. It's taken a while though. Like it's been a journey over the last 10 plus years, you know? It didn't happen overnight. And there's probably still things that a year from now will be like, oh, should swap that out now.
If someone's listening and they want to start the process, what are some easy swaps besides deodorant? Like cleaning supplies that go into all the different things that you've swapped out over the years?
I think the biggest thing is like whether, I personally started with cleaning supplies. That's like where I became aware of this stuff. And then because of that, I just am now proactive in looking and thinking about the choices I make when I buy
Besides
stuff.
the hair paste, we need a
there's certain
non-toxic hair
things,
paste.
if somebody, I might have to actually create a company to fix this
create a
because
hair paste.
I keep looking around. I see these guys and they come out with this stuff. I mean, that's not going to work, buddy. You got to get something that can flip this thing back strong enough.
Okay,
So
I was listening to a past episode. I heard someone recommend ozonated olive oil for your hair. Did you ever try that?
No, that's not going to work.
No, he
Didn't
doesn't
work.
want to.
No. We need.
This paste is so.
I honestly might start a
Okay.
side mission and go and do a company
Let's do
just
a
to
paste called
Yeah.
Jizz.
What?
Just
It has that consistency of
the
your hair.
stripper
No.
perfume and
But anyways, the
It's all
point
natural.
is I think a lot of people, they just becoming aware that there's alternatives. Because even as you were just mentioning all these brands, I started thinking to myself like, oh, like there's a lot of new options out there for companies that are doing this kind of thing, which is it's a great time to be alive. But I think it starts with people just being aware that there is options.
yeah.
And like options for pretty much almost, maybe not everything, but even like cooking supplies now.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff that you can do.
Give us some
There is.
areas
I-
for a starter kit.
Yeah. I love Branch Basics for all things cleaning. If you're not ready to take that, to make that purchase, you can just use water and apple cider vinegar for a lot of cleaning needs.
If you don't buy Branch Basics, just don't even listen to our show anymore. Just get the hell out of here.
And we tell people that with skincare stuff too. Like you can probably do a lot with things that you already have in your kitchen. Dry shampoo, you can use arrowroot powder, tapioca powder, maybe mix it with a little cocoa powder if you have darker hair. You can use coconut oil on your body as a moisturizer. Like there's a lot you can probably do with what you already have.
If someone wants to switch over their foods, what are things that you see with this farm that you guys have that are easy changes? Like, for instance, tell us what to look for on a label. Tell us about eggs. Tell us about all the things that you've learned with a husband who runs a farm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many labeling games in the meat industry in particular. It's crazy. Like pasture raised is all the craze now, but there's actually no standards in place for companies to say that their products are pasture raised. So you could be getting pasture raised eggs and no one's regulating that. No one's checking to make sure it was actually raised on a farm. So it stinks for our farm because we are actually raising animals outside on grass, natural feed, all these things like cage-free eggs, free range, like these terms mean almost nothing. And so I would just encourage people to really know your farmer and get meat, if possible, directly from the source.
Do you guys ship?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Okay, so definitely look for pasture raised. Does it need to be organic, grass fed? What about all that?
But how do you distinguish? What she's saying is like people can put that on the label, but it may not be true. So how do you figure that out?
So grass fed, grass finished is legit, or 100% grass fed for beef. And then chicken is just hard. There's not a lot of farms doing it right. Like Primal Pastures, Pasture Bird are 2 family farms, totally legit. Feed that doesn't even have like seed oils. I mean, they've gone taken every step. But yeah, chicken, I would honestly just encourage people to like find a local farmer for that. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef, you can get that anywhere, and that's going to be good. Organic is a step better, but all that means is that the animals were fed organic feed. So if you're getting organic chicken, that chicken was fed organic feed, but it could still be raised indoors, never with chickens, never seeing the light of day, packed close together and all that.
What about raw milk? Do you like raw milk?
Love raw milk.
Ah,
I was hoping you'd ask about
go
that.
off, please.
Yeah, raw milk's the best. I think you have like a raw milk dealer kind of situation, and same here.
Not going to have one soon. We keep talking about it. They're going to kick us out.
Oh no, yeah.
But do you like raw milk for the benefits? Like talk about anything that you've seen changes.
Yeah, I honestly, I tell people this, like, I feel like it was a nutrient that my body was missing that once I started incorporating it, I was like, oh, I feel so much better. Like, I feel like I'm eating how I was always supposed to eat now. And my body had just been missing it for so long. Because I used to do conventional dairy growing up and then cut it out just because it wasn't making me feel good once I started kind of being aware of like what made me feel good and what didn't. But then I tried the raw stuff, and because it isn't pasteurized, all the enzymes that enable you to digest it aren't destroyed. And it's amazing.
It's wild because people will be like, my stomach can't handle milk, so I can't do raw milk. And I'm like, no, your stomach can't handle milk because you're drinking
Conventional milk.
pasteurized milk.
Right.
If you switch to raw milk, you won't believe how much better you feel. And it is so
100%.
weird. There's something primal about it when you start drinking it. It is like you naturally like lean towards it. Like, it's really weird. It's
Yeah.
almost grounding.
Yeah, you gravitate towards it. You crave it.
Yeah.
My kids are obsessed with it. I feel like it's added like so many benefits to our family.
The
since we
problem with a
started
lot of
having it.
these diets is that if you have a moral reason that you're doing or not doing something, like I'm not going to try to talk anyone off that point, and like all the respect to you, but I think the difficulty is, say it's not a moral reason, you just attach this as like, I am this thing and this is my identity. And you say, and then when people attach an identity to their quote unquote diet, that's a really difficult way to live because new information presents itself and you're like, well, this is my identity, so I can't try something like raw milk, or I can't try grass-fed finished beef, like, because it's now my identity. And I think a lot of people dig in on that position and they hurt themselves in the long run because they've made it about who they are as opposed to like what's right for their body. Does
Absolutely.
that make sense?
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing in not everyone, but a lot of people in the vegetarian vegan community who go that route for environmental reasons, when now we're finding that with regenerative agriculture and farms that are raising animals how they should be raised outside on grass, their manure actually fertilizes the soil. The soil becomes more biodiverse and capable of carrying more carbon, sequestering more carbon from the atmosphere, and it actually helps to regenerate the planet. And not to mention, all of the bunnies and frogs and like animals that are destroyed with monocrop farming that's so prevalent across the central US. Like, there's that too.
It's wild. Meat's making like it's like the pendulum swung one way and now we're swinging the other way. But I feel like there needs to be some kind of balanced energy.
Yeah.
But it's like it really swings.
Yeah,
doesn't
it does. It does.
I know that you mentioned the nervous system earlier. And I think that 2025 is going to be the year of the nervous system. Like, I feel like we haven't talked about that enough as a society. What are some things that you do on a regular basis that nourish your nervous system?
Yeah, I love this question. I mean, I do a lot of things. So this may sound like a lot
we love it.
to some people, but
Bring out your scroll.
I have a PEMF mat from Higher Dose that I love.
Okay.
An infrared sauna. Love my morning walks. And I have grounding shoes from a company called Bahe. So they're made of conductive materials, and I'm actually grounded as I'm walking, but I don't have to be barefoot. There's like, obviously it's a shoe, so there's a barrier between my foot and the ground, but
That's
still
cool.
getting the benefits and all the free electrons from the earth that you can experience with grounding. So honestly, I think like going out for anyone that just wants to experience some nervous system relief on a budget, like go outside in the morning, get the morning sunlight, walk barefoot on the ground, and just, walking in general is just so good for your lymphatic system, so good for your nervous system. Just like take a morning walk. I feel like that is the best thing. Such an easy thing that anyone can do. I mentioned the infrared sauna, taking baths. I'm a big bath person. Epsom salt baths, I love. And then,
how do you take a bath with 3 kids? What's the hack to that? I can't even like go in the bathroom and wash my hands.
yeah,
How
I
are
have
you
to-
taking a bath?
after they're asleep?
You just throw them in the cage
Yeah.
with a padlock.
Oh, yeah. So you're taking like a full bath.
Or
after
sometimes
they're
I'll be
asleep.
like, if it's the middle of the day, I'll say like, Jeff, give me 20 minutes solo, and then you can bring the kids in and like we can all take a bath together. But like I need some time first.
You need
and
to be.
so I'll make it like hot for me, and then I'll add some cool water before they get in.
Yeah, they always want cold water.
Yeah. And then I'm all about facial massage. Like I know you're a big fan of facial massage too. And so like gua sha, facial cupping, facial dry brushing, like just taking a minute at the end of the day to do that makes such a difference.
For those listening that have kids, what are some things that parents can do for their children that maybe you do for your kids that are healthy hacks?
Yeah. I take my kids outside with me in the morning. Like we all just kind of will be outside, ground a little bit, get the morning sunlight. The morning sunlight, like as a parent, it's one of the best things you can do. And it benefits you also because it regulates their circadian rhythm for the day. So they get those awakening hormones from the sun and their body wakes up, and then when you do that in the morning, then your body winds down at the appropriate time at the evening. So regulating your kids' circadian rhythm is not only good for them, but will make your life so much easier also. And then we are pretty definitely like strict about the products they use and the foods that they eat. We don't, and we, our home is clean. They're not really exposed to chemicals regularly unless we're, traveling and it happens inadvertently. But yeah.
What are the products that you're having them use?
We have a baby line. So we have a baby balm that I use on them for anything like cuts, scrapes.
I like your lotion for them too.
Yeah. Yeah. The tallow in a lot of our products is just so healing, and it's an ingredient that it has nutrients that plant-based ingredients just don't have in anywhere near the same concentrations. So it is super nourishing and good for kind of anything.
Why is tallow so amazing?
Tallow has been used traditionally for centuries by countless cultures. It is rich in vitamins A, D, E, and K in a really balanced combination with their fat-soluble activators. It's really similar to your skin's own sebum. It actually translates to sebum in Latin. I love tallow. I think it's one of the reasons that our deodorant, like a lot of people get rashes with natural deodorants. And I think because ours has tallow, it really helps to minimize any chances of people getting a rash from, it's from the baking soda in deodorants that a lot of people will react to. But the tallow is just so nourishing that it kind of balances that out. It was funny because Pop Sugar recently posted an article about how tallow is not safe. It hasn't been tested by the FDA. There haven't been enough studies on it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like
the FDA,
all of human history.
Aren't they recalling
like
Band-Aids or something right now?
Are they? I don't know.
Who knows?
They're recalling Band-Aids. I have a healthy Band-Aid. It's not a healthy. It's a non-toxic Band-Aid.
Okay.
What is it? It's called Patch.
You got to understand though, as
my
it
friend
relates
just sent it to me.
To the FDA, everything that gets recalled was once approved by the FDA, and then because you get I think you just got, people have to be their own gurus. They have to be mindful of this stuff. I think if the last 4 years have not demonstrated that people should, use some other thoughts outside of what the government thinks you should do.
Yeah, then, you have to be your own advocate and do your own research.
One thing that I feel like needs to be talked about more, and you have this in your line, is candles. People like candles all the time. I love candles for ambiance, but there are so many gnarly things in candles. And I know this because when I had Zaza, I noticed when she was like a month old, she was coughing, like a deep cough. And it was from the candles that we were lighting. And it was like a big brand of candles. You guys have candles and you're very meticulous about what goes in it. What does that process look like, and what is toxic in a candle?
Yeah, a lot of petroleum byproducts in candles. I mean, just heavily scented with fragrance, like so much fragrance.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, and we only use essential oils in ours, which is very rare, I will say, to, we have to use quite a bit of essential oils in order for it to still be fragrant. But yeah, I love using our candles. You can actually smell them and they're a nice alternative.
You know what's so strange? And this has only happened to me in the last year or two, maybe both of you in this room will get this. As soon as I started eliminating scented products from our lives, like most scented products, candles, cleaning supplies, colognes, perfume, whatever. Now when I smell things, they bother me. Mm-hmm. And I think we get so used to a lot of these products that you don't realize it's not natural to go through life and be smelling all these random things anyway, right? Yeah. And our friend Shervine, he can't put him in an airport through the perfume section. He just has a full meltdown and has to be put in
I do too. I have someone I know in my life that comes around with their perfume, and it's to the point where it's offensive.
Yeah.
The other day I put perfume on for the first time in a long time, and he goes, ugh. And I go, are you fucking kidding me? I've changed your life, bitch. Like, he's a completely different person. Well, he's like, what are you wearing?
Yeah, because it bombards my system now. But I think
it's overwhelming
with this conversation.
I think, and we've talked about this on the show. It's like there's so many things that we're masking. Mm-hmm. And I think the bigger question is why do we need to mask all these things with these scents? Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think companies are trying to appeal to emotions, and goes back to the nostalgia also, and different scents can activate different things in your brain. And yeah, it's a gnarly marketing thing, but it needs to stop. It's gotten out of control. I think as women, we've been told you can't smell. So in the 50s and the 60s, they told you had to douche. Do you know that? They told you had to douche.
So all these women were going around douching. Do you know what that means, or do you need me to explain it? 'Cause you're
I'm
looking-
pretty sure I know what
Okay.
it means. We don't have to
Google it after this.
We don't have to
So
do
a
a whole
lot
lesson.
of women would go around douching, and the problem that people didn't realize is it was taking your good bacteria and your bad bacteria out of your vagina. So it was actually making everything worse. And they just kept telling you to douche. And
More of the same thing to fix the problem.
It's really bad for you.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
terrible.
I just don't ever anymore want to be part of the first wave of testing of anything. Does that make sense?
Agreed.
I'm out.
Yes.
I don't want to be a guinea pig to anyone. I want to talk about the way that you've built your business. I find the infrastructure to be really impressive. Talk about how you think about it, because you have your manufacturer in-house, and I'm just curious for my own selfish self. I want to know the process of that and what that looks like.
Yeah. So it wasn't a super intentional choice to do that, but it naturally happened that way because I was the one who formulated all of our products in the beginning, and I was the one making them. And I was making them in my home for maybe a year or so before we moved into a warehouse. And so it just made sense when we moved to a warehouse, like, let's just keep doing it ourselves. And the quantities are increasing and the batch sizes are increasing and all this, but we're just figuring it out. We're getting new machinery as we go. And as we started growing and, I would talk to different people, they would be like, why aren't you outsourcing at this point? And I'm like, well, we've been doing it. And I kind of like having control over everything. With natural ingredients, there's a lot of variation sometimes from batch to batch and different crops. And we've been able to catch mistakes, or not mistakes, but when a batch of something comes in and doesn't smell like it should, we can catch that and not use it in our products. Everything is really fresh because we make it in-house and then we ship it out. So it's not manufactured somewhere across the US or even in another country, created over here, on a boat for who knows long, sitting in a shipping warehouse then until it's shipped out. Like, who knows how long a lot of the products that we're using are just sitting around before they actually get to you. So I love being able to just produce the most fresh product possible and also be in control of everything that we're using in the product.
It's funny that you say that because we just had Angelo from Keon on, and he has a coffee.
Yeah.
And he was telling us that his coffee it's no mold, it's organic, it's amazing. Michael and I drink it every morning.
Yeah, Keon's great.
And he told us that he found that the bags.
The first batch he did, he found there was mold, and he's like, how is this possible? And it was like the bags that all these companies use to store. It was like a third party that stored it, had mold in the bags from other coffee. And so it was putting mold
coming
in
into his coffee.
Oh my gosh.
And so a bunch of people are like selling this like no mold organic coffee. Meanwhile, it's sitting in bags that have had mold. Like, it's just crazy.
And to be clear for him, just so it's very clear, like, he did not ship that batch, and he had to like shut the whole thing down and then figure out a way to do it so that wouldn't happen. But he was just pointing out that sometimes companies will say that they're not these things, but then they don't realize like they're working with a third party who's storing it with people who are those things, and it completely diminishes the product.
So much can happen. We had a batch of deodorant one time. My team made this batch of deodorant, and it came out smelling like cumin. Like, it was terrible. And so we traced back into smelled all the ingredients that were used, and the arrowroot powder smelled like cumin. We contacted the supplier, and come to find out they had stored the arrowroot next to cumin. And so we couldn't sell that batch of deodorant. But yeah, anything can happen.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
How have you seen growth in your business? How long has it been? What has that been like?
Yeah, so we've been in business since 2015. So this marked 9 years in February.
A long time.
And yeah, it's been a long time. It's grown like more than I ever could have imagined. We have about 80 employees now at our headquarters in Southern California. We have a spa at our headquarters where we offer gua sha, herbal poultice, facial cupping, buccal massage. We just actually started a farm on my family farm. So we're now growing some of our own ingredients regeneratively. That's kind of exciting thing on the horizon for us.
And what has been your most successful marketing channel? Because you guys have been working with influencers for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram and like TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but I hear that it's doing really well for us.
It's healthy that you're not on TikTok. That's a non-toxic lifestyle.
I don't want to get sucked into it.
I don't blame you. Sometimes I'm just like, I like give myself times. Like, my trainer told me that he only goes on TikTok when he's on the Stairmaster.
Mm.
So it's
like a boundary.
Yeah, it's a boundary, and it's amazing because he feels like he's at least like getting something productive done while he's scrolling.
Like habit stacking.
Yeah, and then he gets off the Stairmaster and there's no more TikTok.
Yeah.
And then my friend
That
Weston, just deletes it off his phone. Can we do a giveaway for our audience with a bunch of your products?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. First, before you go, I would like you to tell me, and I'll say mine after you, which product that they should start with. You have a lot of different products.
I would say number 1, deodorant, but since we already talked about that, our cleansing oil is one of my other favorites. I think skincare wise, oil cleansing is such a nice ritual. It gives you a really nice deep clean, doesn't strip the skin, and it's such a great experience. Our cleansing oil smells really good, and I just love doing that at the end of every day.
And what I love about cleansing oil, this one will take like your makeup off, your mascara.
Exactly.
I really am into double cleanse right now.
I love double cleansing.
Yeah, so you do the oil cleanser first, and then you can do whatever cleanser of your choice. Check the ingredients. But a cleansing oil is a great one to start with. You know what I'm going to say, what I'm obsessed with. I love the body butter, the almond and vanilla. It's so nice. I'll get out of the shower and do the Skinny Confidential Body Sculptor.
Nice.
And then I'll put that lotion on, and it's the best. It's the best if you like have dry knees or elbows. You could throw a little of that on right now.
Nice. I'll use it.
But the best ingredient in this is the mango butter. I'm obsessed with that. I love how it smells. I'll put it on my kids. I'll massage their feet. They ask me for it.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I love your body butter. Like
Thank
10
you.
out of 10. So let's do a giveaway of a bunch of our favorites. All you have to do is follow at Primally Pure on Instagram, and then tell us your favorite takeaway from this episode. And then do we have a code?
Yes, you can use the code SKINNY for 15% off.
Skinny for 15% off. Go get the body butter, the cleansing oil, and the deodorant. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Bethany. I love that you brought Allison. That's so much fun.
Thank you for doing
Allison.
this.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.